Welcome to Romence Gardens. My name is Tim. I work here in the perennial department and I'd like to talk today a bit about asters. These are one of our favorite late season bloomers. Asters are a big family. They include all the daisy-like plants, Shasta daisies, purple cone flowers, black-eyed Susans. But the aster here is one of our favorites. They give us a lot of color late in the season after much is all finished in the garden. These are a fantastic substitute for chrysanthemums, the garden mums, which are not quite as hardy. Asters grow very well in Michigan and the Midwest. They're heavy bloomers. They will bloom a month or more. The flowers are very small, as you can see, but they put out a lot of them, so you get a lot of color for your money. They come in blues, purples, pinks, reddish pinks, and whites. They are adaptable to most garden conditions, and many of these are native or grow as well as our natives do. Asters are good for a wildflower garden. They will attract pollinators and feed our local bees and butterflies. Some of them are hosts to butterfly caterpillars. Asters make good cut flowers, and they're fantastic in a cut flower garden. They have a spreading habit. They don't usually take over the garden and get too crazy, but they are good for erosion control and bank or slope stabilization. Asters grow in most garden conditions. They will take full sun to about half shade. They are very adaptable to various soils. They will grow in any loamy garden soil. It can be sandy. They will even grow in a lot of our clay soils. If it's really heavy clay though and doesn't drain well, you will want to add some compost and just mix that into the flower bed before you plant. Being heavy bloomers, they like moderately fertile soil, so every spring it's a good idea to top dress with balanced granular fertilizer such as 10-10-10 and a couple inches of compost, and just work that into the top couple inches of soil. As they are growing in the springtime and early summer, it's a good idea to pinch asters back, meaning just trim off the tips about a third of the tip, and do that in the late spring and again in the early summer around June or so before they make any flower buds. And that makes them bushier and more compact and keeps them from getting so tall and floppy like they sometimes do later in the season when they start to bloom. They will also appreciate being deadheaded. After the first flush of flowers is done, you can just trim them off and they will keep making more for a while. At the end of the season, once the frost has turned them brown, you can cut them to the ground, or as I like to do, leave them standing in the garden if they're not too collapsed, and the seeds will feed the birds. And sometimes it will just look interesting catching the snow, and then I cut them down in the spring, say around March or so. One thing you might need to do with your asters, since they are spreaders, you might need to divide them every so often. Say every 3 to 5 years or so, you can dig up your clump and cut it into maybe 3 pieces or so, and then you'll have all new plants. Plant them as before and start all over again. Asters pair very well with many of our other fall blooming plants, including perennial sunflowers and false sunflowers, cone flowers, caryopteris or bluebeard, even garden mums, and our stone crops, our autumn sedums. Asters will come in many different sizes. There are some that grow up to 3 or 4 feet. A lot of our varieties are much more compact and bred to be a little shorter and less floppy and fit into a lot more urban gardens. There are some, such as the Tatarian aster, that will get close to 6 feet tall. We have a variety of that stays a little more compact at about 3 or 4 feet. We also have a heather aster, which is a low spreader with white flowers and is a good ground cover under larger shrubs. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe.